Brakathum Yahweh Shai, Brakathum Yahweh, Brakathum Yahweh Shai, Kahalayim Yahweh Basham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakach Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who were well. Salutations to the Akim and the Four Winds preaching in truth and sincerity, risking their lives more now than ever. The hopeful elect, the elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel and have come back to the fold, Shalom. To the sister, the Akwaf, listen and in silence and have come back to the fold, Shalom. This your brother Ram Yahawada with the lesson. And, some of the elders and everybody been going into this thing with the elder Rakah from GOCC. So I'm going to do a little bit real quick on this topic too of GOCC, going into, saving Esau in a different, I get what he's trying to say, because he's trying to say you have to save Edom to be servants, but he's not breaking it down correct. And then talking about the elites are going to be, no. What? Well, you have to say. What?
Shalom, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so I got a quick question. When I asked this, I'm not trying to be contentious or anything like that. I'm just genuinely seeking some edification. But according to what I have acquired, or my understanding that the GOCC teach that all nations can be saved, specifically Esau, the white man. And so I was just wondering, could you give me some scriptures to support that stance?
Hold up. Before.
Go ahead.
Hold up.
Give me some scriptures to support that stance.
Hold up. Before.
Go ahead.
Hold up. Before you put words in our mouth.
Go ahead.
Okay. Let me ask you the question so I can make sure you're asking me right. Are you asking me, do we teach, not just put the GOCC on the side, myself, Elder Ricard Shiar, not GOCC. Are you asking me, can the white man be saved? Is that what you're asking me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I can answer you if you were to follow me in the Bible. You have a Bible? Huh?
Yeah, yeah, I do. I got my phone right here. I can go to any verse you need me to go to.
Do you have a Bible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to have the Bible answer you. So you can't say it's GOCC or the Gathering of Christ Church, okay? Is that good?
Okay.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Wonderful. Hold on. I need you to go first.
No.
All that comes in, that's how misdirection happens. Deuteronomy 23 and 7. Do you have an ink pen? Because what I don't want is to waste my time. If you're going to ask a question, you should do the due diligence of writing it down. Why? Because some of this you're going to forget.
Right. I'm going to say it, but whatever verse you give me, I'll say.
All right, don't worry about it. I'll tell you what, it's recorded. We're near the end of the video. You don't have to write it down if you're willing to come back, see after seeing this video, and view and write it down later. If you're saying you'll do that, I'll go through this with you. If not,
sure,
I won't. Okay. Deuteronomy.
I'll definitely do it.
No,
like I say,
listen, brother.
I'm not here to be contentious.
Listen, brother. The Bible says, "Let your yea be yea, your nay be nay. Anything else, gender strife." So when you come in between, it's misdirection.
Yes,
You don't know it's misdirection, but I'm telling you what it is. Deuteronomy 23 and 7. Read that.
Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, for he is thy brother. Thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian, because thou was a stranger in his land.
Now, what do the word you know the word abhor means hate, right?
Right.
So according to God's law, Esau is the white man. He's an Edomite. According to God's law, you can't hate him, right?
I understand what you're saying.
No, listen, brother. One more misdirection.
Go ahead.
One more misdirection, and I'm on to the next call. I don't play like that. Because what you're trying... No,
so this dude, so-called, supposed to be an elder, and then he's saying Rakah. Rakah means spirit, in which, you got the wrong spirit. And he's with pride. His pride is spirit. His spirit is pride, and his pride and basically not teaching the scriptures the right way. All right. So let's go ahead and see what abhor mean. Right. This is Deuteronomy 23 and 7. Thus shall not abhor an Edomite, right? For he is thy brother. Thus shall not abhor an Egyptian, because thus was a stranger in his land, right? So let's go into the actual definition of abhor, right? It's the blue letter, which kind of goes into the Hebrew, because they use like the modern Hebrew going back to the Syrian Hebrew, and sometimes they use I believe they use the Arabic, which is basically a form of Hebrew, right? But they don't really go into the Paleo Hebrew like they ought to, because then that's the more ancient Hebrew. That's why it's called Paleo Hebrew. But it says abhor, it says H 581. Let's go into that. In fact, I might say it.
Strong's H 8581. Ta'av.
Yeah, ta'av. Yeah, right. To abhor, right? What he was saying. Be abominable. Nothing about hating. Abominably, right? Right. So it's really talking about being abominable, right? See, so what this guy got is wrong. See, right here it says abominable, causing moral revulsion. So and we know that due to Malachi 1 and 4, that Esau is the border of wickedness. So that's so you can have moral revolt, moral revulsion, right? That's not talking about hating. You can't hate him, right? Means he's what? Very bad or unpleasant. Right? A cup of abominable tea. Right? So if you drink a cup of abominable tea. I mean, you may not want to drink that. Something that's very bad, unpleasant, right? Hey, and you technically may hate something that's unpleasant, right? It's right here, Malachi chapter 1, verse 4. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places, right? Which they did after, during the Dark Ages, well, towards the end of the Dark Ages, when they were coming in to conquer and getting those strongholds up in Europe and in different places in the world, Russia, all these different places where they were getting the strongholds in at, right? And conquering Jake, going into the Christopher Columbus's time, because that's most prominent time. Christopher Columbus, that's them, getting the whole entire world, right? Because they rule Europe, build back Rome, build back all these different places, set back up was it Egypt the way they wanted to, knocked off all the noses, did like that, set up the people they wanted to set up by inbreeding with them, so it looks like a darker people, or like someone who has, and then say that they're Arabian and all this other type of stuff, which Arabian just means mixed people, which that's what they did. They mixed, the even the scriptures talk about that, even the mingled people, right? So they can mingle themselves amongst all the people, right? Conquer the world in a sense, and what basically what they did, right? To rebuild the desolate places. Thus saith Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shai of hosts, which means armies, they shall rebuild, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, which is mean abhor. Habor, you mean abhor. You abhor something that's what? Abominable. And being that they're wicked, they're the border of wickedness, you're supposed to abhor them, right? Abhor them, right? Which means abominable. You're supposed to stay away from things that's abominable, right? It says, and the people against whom Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai haveth indignation forever, right? So the indignation is righteous anger forever. It says, this is 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 33. Be not deceived, right? Because what did it tell you in Revelation? It tell you that when Esau came out of the Caucasus Mountains, he deceived the whole world, right? When he came out to conquer the world, he deceived the whole world, right? It says evil communication, right? Evil communication. And that's ultimately what Esau, all he is. His wine, his philosophy is an evil communication, right? He is the border of wickedness, right? Where wickedness begins and where wickedness ends, right? He says, corrupt good manners, right? You're the Israelites. You had what? The law, statutes, commandments, right? And it corrupt your good manners, right? Because they made it law that you couldn't call yourself a Jew, right? You couldn't circumcise your children. They made it law. They had where people were sacrificing pigs in the temple, right? They have it where when you go back to the Greek customs, the Roman customs, they were doing the mole practices, right? Man with man, the moles, being a mole. So they corrupt the good manners, man. says, and then it says, awake to righteousness, right? And sin not. For some have not the knowledge of Yahweh, right? Because why? Because of the practices of what, when they came and ruled under the Greeks, under the Romans, then when they fell, went into the Caucasus Mountains, they were there for a while. When they came back out during the 1200s, the 1100s, 1300s, going into what was it 1492? Sailed the ocean blue, right? Going into that time, they were bringing things over here, doing things with Gad, right? You know, conquering Gad, going against Reuben. You know what I'm saying? Because most likely, if they were doing the things 1600s later on, and they grabbed, you know, Judah, Benjamin, Levi from Europe, from the west of Africa, and they were doing the buck breaking with them. They don't really talk about it much with Gad, but they would. This is their nature. Going back to, like I said, going back to Greece, going back to Rome. This is their nature. To what they were probably buck breaking Gad and Reuben and Issachar and stuff, right? And Ephraim and stuff, right? During that time. So, you know what I'm saying, so this is them conquering, right? Because they conquered by deceiving the world, right? So we need to see the world, what, teaching you Christianity, plantation doctrine Christianity, changing the image of Yahushai into a Edomite, right, with stringy hair, right, pale skin, stringy hair, right, to an Edomite, to look like them, right, by in Virginia, I think it was 1780 something, or 1680 something. It's either 16 or 1780. They declared themselves to be white in their own court system, right? So these are the things they've done to change the knowledge, to deceive the people. So you don't have the knowledge. Now you got Cesare Borgia, which is, go back to Serapis Christus, but a white boy, and then it says, I speak this to your shame, right? Because why? We disobeyed the Most High, and he said that we were gonna, was it Jeremiah 17:4? You're gonna discontinue from your heritage. So this is he's speaking this to your shame. This is Revelation chapter 20, verse 2, and he laid hold on the dragon, which dealing with the Roman Empire, but before it was the Roman Empire, it was the Greek Empire. Then, you know, of course, the Roman Empire, which you know it as the Roman Greco Empire, right? And then you know it today as what? America, EU, and NATO, right? Which is the Roman, during the, what is it called? The EU, right? It's the Roman treaty, which they know that they're the Romans. And then NATO, which is their military, which would cause them, which is that second leg, right? Because they were the first leg of the Roman Empire, which goes into them being the dragon, which is the red dragon of Rome. But they're still the red dragon of Rome even to this day, because this is going into the second leg of Rome, and that old serpent going back to the garden, right? Which is the devil, which devil means what? Accuser, right? False accuser, actually. And Satan goes into being your enemy, your adversary, right? In which Esau, Edom, is our adversary, right? He's always been our adversary. He's always been our enemy. He always opposed us. He always opposed righteousness. Going all the way back to Cain, Abel, he's always did opposite of what the Most High said to do, right? Even when, as Esau, go not amongst the Canaanites. The first thing he do is marry Canaanites, right? So everything Esau does, or that spirit that was from the beginning, from the garden, right, has always been adverse to the Lord, right? From being, the serpent. It says, and cast, Salakia. Yeah, Satan goes into our adversary and bound him 1,000 years, right? This is when him going into the Caucasus Mountains for 1,000 years, and cast him into the bottomless pit, right? Which would be was it they say that the Caucasus Mountains is like the basically it's still kind of Europe, South Georgia, Russia, Southwest Georgia, Russia. So it's like that southern, which basically is still supposed to be like Europe, right? And then they went into Europe, right? Building the desolate places in Europe, building back up Rome, basically conquering and taking out Jake out of out of France, out of England, out of Portugal, out of all these different places, conquering it and rebuilding it and re-putting their images and their faces upon those places, right? And it says, and shut him up and sat a seal upon him that he should deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled, and after that he must be loose a little season, which going into this time period, which is a little season. It seems like forever from the time of basically, to give you a good thing is the time of Columbus until now. It's actually been a small season, but now he's going to come into his destruction, which is a little season. It says, this is Revelation chapter 13, verse 12. And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast, which, like I said, going into the Roman Greco Empire, because the Greeks were, it was powerful, but they were more powerful as the Romans. They had more influence as the Roman, as that red dragon, the great dragon, that red dragon, which is Esau, right? So they implemented that same power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, right? Which going into their democracy, their ways, their philosophies, and it's basically like a way of worshiping it. Going into the military, that's a way of worshiping it. You know what I mean? Pulling out that so-called American flag or your British flag or whatever flag, making you do a pledge allegiance to that. That's a form of worshiping it. Because when I was a kid, you really felt proud when they sung that song. When you did the pledge allegiance to, man, you almost like, dang, this is man, one nation under God. You're like, yeah, like you really felt like this was like God given, like, you know what I mean, in a sense, But then when you start growing up and you keep just seeing how they mistreat your people and they keep mistreating your people, and then you know, of course, get into the truth, and now all this other stuff is starting to come out. Black Wall Street, Rosewood, I forgot the place that was in Philadelphia, but they were rich, they had big money, and you just destroyed, and that was in the 80s. You destroyed a prominent black town in the 1980s, and no one talks about that. Still to this day, no one talks about that, man. Right? So, she's like, yeah. So they implement that power of that first beast, you know, pledge allegiance, this and that. You know what I'm saying? Make you join the military, all these different things, following their so-called judicial system. Even though they'll say they believe in God, and they'll put the Bible, swear over the Bible, but do everything opposite of the Bible, right? So, right, to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed, right? Who got the deadly wound, which is Rome. It fell for a while, but it's healed. Why? Because they came back after the 1,000 years to come back to build the desolate places. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire to come down from heaven. This is going into the period of was it World War II? But the American made the was the so-called atom bombs to come down on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? To drop down those bombs, that which is fire coming down from heaven. And then the whole world was shook, and everybody followed that so-called American dream or whatever. Everybody wanted a piece of that. That's why you got a McDonald's in China, and you got and in Russia, you got all these like American things, you know, Nike and McDonald's, and you know, so that's that thing, that influence that they push to the whole world, right? Everybody want to wear Levi's and Nikes and go to McDonald's, right? So it says down from heaven on the earth, right? On Hiroshima and Nagasaki, in the sight of men, and deceive them, right, that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles, right? And they came out of the Caucasus Mountain to deceive, which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, right, which is NATO, right, which goes into so-called Britain and well, basically those European nations, but mostly Britain, right, which, because they actually rule over this. America's just a providence of this place, but America's that front face. That's the reason why it's going to get the blunt of the blow, because America's the face of this whole thing, right? And normally, you know, if you get into a fight, normally the first place most people try to hit is the face, right? Normally, you kind of go towards the body later, you know, but normally the first thing you try to do is hit somebody in the face. But you know, in America's the face of you know, NATO, EU, that whole thing, basically the Roman Empire being put back together all over again, the Roman Greco Empire, and full-fledged through America, right? Through that what do you call it? Through their influence, basically. Yeah. Salakia. Yeah. By the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make a image of the beast, right, which had the deadly wound, right, which will be Rome, by the sword, and did live, right? So you got to follow the Roman Greco ways. Why didn't they celebrate Christmas? If you go to Russia during Christmas time, they got Christmas lights, right? These are these things, these paganistic ways that they celebrate. You can go to China, they probably celebrate Christmas. These this thing, this influencement that they've had on the world, right? To push that. You know what I mean? It says to make image of the beast which had the deadly wound and did live, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed, right? Because we're coming to that time. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, right? Going into the MOTB, going into the digital currency, right? That no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name, right? Which is going into the MOTB, the charagma, which goes into being abhor, which means abominable. So if someone's trying to get you to get the MOTB, and this person came and deceived the whole world by the means of this miracle, and his miracle was just to bring fire down from heaven, and he's not Elijah. This is just this deadly wound that was healed, which we know is the Roman Greco Empire, which is the second leg of it, and we know that that's what it is. So how can we not hate this thing that the Lord said abhor, or that it's abominable? With all that, I want to say, call Loyum Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham, Rakah Quadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who rule well. Salutations to the Akim and the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking their lives more now than ever. The hopeful elect, the elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel and have come back to the fold, Shalom. To the sisters of Akwaf listening in silence and have come back to the fold, Shalom. And death to America.